What to do, everyone? What's these scenes? How you going? So it's a rainy day here in Delaware, and I thought what great moment to take to unwind and to reflect on some roadblocks that many people experience when it comes to embarking upon their healing and their self-development journey. I noticed a couple of days ago that as I create content and I explain the process of healing and the components of healing, that it may come across like it's something that you just wake up one morning and you decide that you want to do. But that's not the case. I actually sent an email out to my email list explaining how gold and the gold mining business, so to speak, kind of relates to healing. And I'll explain. So in my research of gold and gold mining, I came across a source that said sometimes it takes 10 to 20 years to even be able to actually mine a particular area. And that just reminded me that for many of us, it takes years, it takes time to really come to the realization and the willingness and have the conviction to embark upon a healing and a self-development journey. And so as I build my brand and I explain more about what self-healing and self-development, what all that means as it relates to me being a life coach, I created a post yesterday on Instagram highlighting a few of the roadblocks that one would experience and also some solutions to map to these roadblocks. So I'll give you a few. Number one, as we live our lives unintentionally, we're not paying attention to how the things that have happened to us, how they have shaped us and how we make decisions. Our beliefs about ourselves, our fears, is how we maneuver. We're not able to see the correlation between our emotional baggage and our trauma. And so because we're not able to see this correlation, we are just living willy-nilly, not realizing that we need to do some internal work to improve and to become better. Number two, we don't feel safe, we don't feel seen, we don't feel heard when it comes to having a support system. While some people believe and are actually able to embark upon their healing journey by themselves, I think it's really important to have a support system, whether it's one person, your life coach, your psychiatrist, your therapist, or a family member, a friend, or a partner. It makes it a lot easier to be able to bounce your thoughts, your feelings, your situations off of someone so that you're not suppressing and you don't feel alone. Many a times when we have to bear the weight of our trauma, our pain by ourselves, it can make us shut down and not wanting to proceed. So when you don't have someone that you think, when I talk to this person, I feel like I'm seen, I feel like I'm heard, I feel safe, then that delays a person or completely prevents a person from wanting to embark upon their healing journey. Number three, if one's trauma involves other parties, and I don't want to get too specific about trauma for trigger reasons, but if a particular situation has happened at the hands of a oppressor, a victimizer, so to speak, it can be a bit difficult for a person to embark on the healing journey because there are still parties involved, living parties involved. I have heard people say that once my particular, abuser or oppressor, once they pass away, I feel like I can break these chains and no longer be bogged down by my experience, but that's not necessarily true. Also, when it comes to healing, there are some moments where you actually have to confront the person that has harmed you, that has hurt you. They're both synonyms, but the person that has played a part in your traumatic experience. And not everyone is comfortable doing that, and they assume that they have to do that in order to heal, and they will shut down as well. Another reason is because they are afraid of seeing who this new person is going to be once they heal. And that's very profound. Many of us have, really embedded ourselves in our emotional baggage and our traumatic experiences so much that that is our identity. And we're afraid to put in the work because once we put in the work, we will not be able to recognize who this new person is in the mirror, and we won't know how to move forward. So that's just a few that come to mind immediately. Now, what are some strategies that we can map to these roadblocks, okay, as it relates to unintentionally living and not seeing the correlation between the trauma and how we live our life? If you are a person, or if one is a person that is always wondering, why do I keep making these mistakes, or I'm noticing that when it comes to making a decision, I don't think that I'm capable, or I just have this negative belief, or I'm insecure, what have you. And I would definitely recommend doing the self-diagnostic, self-assessing, identifying the why, identifying the pain points. That will let one know, like, I have some things that are suppressed that I need to work through so that I can no longer feel this emotional burden. I can no longer have this negative view or belief about myself. When it comes to feeling seen, heard, and safe, if you don't have a person that you can go to, I still recommend not suppressing your feelings. I recommend getting a diary, getting a journal, and writing down your unadulterated feelings freely. What this has done for me personally as a teenager, when I did not necessarily have my voice and I decided to keep journals upon journals, I was able to really work through my pain, identify my patterns, identify so many things that I would eventually, looking back, realize that I really did overcome and work through. When I was able to find my voice, I realized that I wrote in my journal less. When it comes to, seeing this new person in the mirror, yes, it can be very scary. But my biggest recommendation is that it doesn't have to be scary. When you think about being parents, when you're thinking about having progeny that, are your legacy after you die, it's really important to be our best self so that we can raise a healthier, better generation. So when we think forward and think about how being a best us can affect a best them approach, that may be able to cushion that feeling of, I don't know who I am. And so just something to consider as it relates to, people, other parties being a part of the trauma and not wanting to embark upon it because you don't want to include those people, or you're just afraid to have to confront those people. I would say don't focus on the forgiveness and the closure to come from that other party or that other person initiating it. It's important for us to take the responsibility to establish forgiveness for those, forgiveness for self, and closure for ourselves in order to really heal. We cannot always wait on everybody else. We have to take a stance in our own life, because who wants to be older and regret that we never really, pushed through the things that were holding us back. Another thing that comes to mind is really having grace, really having forgiveness and compassion when it comes to just ourselves. We can really beat ourselves down, and we can actually, project our own self-guilt and self-shame. And we all have that inner child within us that needs to feel safe, needs to know that it's okay for them to play. And when things are triggered within us as adults and we, kind of get out of character, so to speak, it's that tug of war between our child self and our adult self. And so as a person works to become more in tune and more nurturing towards themselves, they will recognize that I need to make sure that my inner child is okay, because many of us, and I don't want to generalize, but there are a number of us who are affected as adults from things that stem from childhood. So just thinking about how we can nurture and, soothe the inner child within us is an important way to just being stabilized upon some form of healing journey, even if we don't take the time to intentionally work through something. Subhanallah, the thunder always, makes me think about the power and might of the Creator. But this concludes my video. Please share this video with people that would thoroughly benefit from understanding the potential roadblocks that they are experiencing, and also the ways that they can kind of cope through those roadblocks. Oh, before I go, I did leave out one roadblock that I really want to share. When it comes to our emotional baggage, a lot of us just don't want to feel it. We want to be numb, and so we will choose people, places, and things as a means of avoidant coping, whether it's, relationships that are with people, uses of drugs, etc. And so what I will say is that the healing journey can be scary for people because you have to stand in your discomfort, you have to feel. And so I can't tell you not to let that be a roadblock, but I will say that having a support system, having a journal, just knowing that you have to love up on yourself so hard are ways that you can combat using avoidant coping versus, standing in your discomfort. Like, definitely want to stand in your discomfort, but if it's something that you struggle with, have someone that you can lean on, have someone that's your sounding board, really love upon yourself, really honor yourself as best as you can. All right, so thanks for tuning in. Like, comment, and share. And I can't wait to come back to provide you with more information about self-healing and self-development. My name is Keyona, aka Coach Key. I'm a healing and self-development coach. I help women, specifically women of color and women of faith, to work through their feelings of shame and guilt, limited beliefs and fears, so they can own their story and they can reclaim their power and they can grow into being the best version of themselves. All right, peace.